the next county over. They're not getting a hold of the Department of Health and Human Services. They're not getting a hold of social services. They are not working together to do something about the crimes against me. They're all wasting my fucking time. They're wasting my resources, and they are dragging it the fuck out. Instead of blowing me off and pretending, these people need to look at the fucking evidence. They need to stop talking over me and making every excuse not to fucking help. What I need is a place to sit down with my fucking evidence. Yes, the fucking cops can provide me with that. Yes, there's a fucking room at the goddamn police station specifically for that. But they go out of their way to intentionally reinterpret every goddamn thing that I say. I'm literally telling them I can't take care of myself. I am being abused because of fucking abuse by law enforcement.
I understand people live over here. We hear you screaming.
I'll try not to actually scream because it would scare everyone in the neighborhood. Yes, ma'am. Now, here's the thing, is that it is inappropriate to force someone into a position like this. It is against the law to force someone into a position like this. But people don't want to hear it. Oh, sure, they want to talk about it conceptually. People live over there. You know, I used to live in a place too. I've rented quite a few places, and I understand their frustration with me being frustrated. Of course, at the same time, they don't want to help with the issue with the cops. They're busy with their own lives. They're busy with their own house. Should I go and bother those strangers and say, hey, I'm having issues with people abusing me? No, they could obviously hear what I was saying already. They already hear what I'm saying. So, of course, they want me to lower my tone. Obviously, if I wanted to scream, it would be much louder. Many of you on my YouTube channel have actually heard me scream, and it is a frightening thing, a very frightening thing. I've had so many people say, man, I was listening to you, but then I heard you scream, and it scared the hell out of me. Well, it's rightfully so. That's its intent and purpose. I want you guys to feel how I'm feeling. That's part of the reason for putting an emphasis on it. But you guys don't want to hear that. You just want to run people off. When somebody is homeless, you don't want to understand about their victimization or what put them there. What you want is for them to go away and not exist in your environment. Now, of course, those people, they wanted me to lower my tone, and that is absolutely not a problem. For them to ask me that is not rude or inconsiderate. They're not trying to harm me by asking that. They're not threatening harm against me by asking that. And sure, they didn't ask in exactly those words, but they let me know, of course, people live here. Well, what they're trying to insinuate there, while you guys pretend that I'm retarded, it's one of the things about social cues. It's not that we don't get social cues, they don't make any sense. With something like that, yeah, you guys assume that somebody who's autistic is retarded, and they cannot extrapolate what it is that you're trying to say in that situation. One of the biggest issues that we have is you guys don't know how to speak straight. You don't know how to speak straightforward or honestly. You're always out playing some drama agenda crap. You know what I needed? I didn't need a bunch of drama from Dan Faber. I didn't need a bunch of drama from any of these people. What I needed help with is turning in the evidence in person. Having help with that, not being forced to move from place to place to place to place. See, when you, as a homeless person, are forced to move again and again and again and again, you never get to stop and establish the things that you need, like a mailbox. When you're having to stay in other people's environments, I mean, you guys got to hear from a lot of other people on my channel too, how dangerous that can be. How somebody's good intentions doesn't do you any good when, well, Mandy Singer spoke about several of the situations that she was in as well. Where, people may have had the right intentions, their heart was in the right place, in their chest, but they didn't understand how them being, you guys want to use the word toxic a lot. They didn't want to understand how them being toxic made it a toxic environment. Toxic isn't the right word to use for it, though. It's a very scary environment. And of course, when somebody's gone through what I've gone through, and they've got PTSD from abuse, the last thing that I want to do, or anybody else for that matter, is to go out into the middle of the street and literally scream at the top of my lungs, but I've done it. I've gone out in the middle of the street with my paperwork, sat down in the middle of the street, and spread my paperwork out around me in the middle of Chapel, Nebraska. I've done a lot of desperate things to try to get someone to look. But like I said, as soon as people found out I was autistic, they wanted to stop treating me like I was a human being and start treating me like I was a retard who grew up in a goddamn bubble and didn't know up from down, left from right, or, well, anything else for that matter. For me, having to try to turn in anything to law enforcement by myself is inappropriate. It is inappropriate for me to have to go to somebody when I have asked repeatedly for a guardian for my own safety and protection so that my rights are observed, because they're not being observed. They need to make their decisions based on evidence, not based on slander. The same goes for the courts, the same goes for the media. None of you care about the truth. You just love the slander. You don't care about the innocent lives that are destroyed by it. You just love the slander. Of course, then there's all these idiots who wanted to accuse me of slandering them after I've already posted up the fact that I told the truth. I've already posted up conversations with them where they verify the things that they now want to claim are slander. Well, it's already verified in your own voice on my YouTube channel. What are you thinking? You say, hey, Sean, I know you're a Jew. You're supposed to go to Adolf Hitler. He helps out the Jews. And then you go to Adolf Hitler and you have to go by yourself because they don't go in with you, right? And you go and see Adolf Hitler, and what does Adolf Hitler do? Horrible things. And you say, hey, this person told me to go to Adolf Hitler. No, I didn't. That's slander. I already have it recorded on my YouTube, you telling me to go talk to Hitler. Of course, I don't literally have people telling me to go talk to Hitler on my YouTube. But you get what I'm saying. This ain't something anybody should have to go through. The problem is that nobody ever tried actually advocating for me. They wanted to argue in Facebook groups about shit they didn't know nothing about, and then they didn't want to find out nothing about it. So they still didn't know nothing. Meanwhile, there's a lot of people who just wanted to peek in and find stuff they could use to pretend I'm some sort of a fucking villain and twist it into something it ain't. But none of you bothered to look into that, did you? None of you who claimed to be my friends, none of you who claimed to love me. None of you ever cared, and every one of you showed you didn't care by talking over me and telling me how to think and how to feel. by telling me I just need to let it go. No, that is exactly the wrong thing to do. When somebody is being victimized and they come to you for help stopping the victimization, because it is ongoing. And that's the thing about having your name slandered the way that mine has, and people allowing it to stand. People who know that their individual parts should have been forward years ago. Here I am years later and I'm still being victimized. I still have not killed anybody. Well, a lot of my loved ones are dead. And we got people like Ted Bollinger, registered sex offender, messing around with methamphetamines and illegal firearms, and of course molesting his own daughters, and they keep letting him out over and over again. And you guys paid him tens of thousands of dollars. Tens of thousands of dollars. While you destroyed my life by any means necessary. While you prevented me from being able to speak in court by any means necessary. While you look away because it's not happening to you. Because people live here. Isn't that always it? You don't care what happens to others or how they're being treated, as long as you're not interrupted, as long as it doesn't hurt your feelers. And of course, we're in America. We've taught every woman in America to be a fucking Karen. Seriously? What I owe them? I'm not allowed to defend myself from Karens. I'm not allowed to defend myself against their friends and their husbands. I just have to take the abuse because of the color of my skin. And of course, the genitalia that I was not asked. I don't remember any point in my life ever asking for the genitalia that I got. And I don't remember ever asking for the abuse either, which is something that you guys really push heavy. I must have asked for it. No, I didn't ask for it. I asked for help. And what I got was BS. What I got was lies. What I got was Nazi crap. So for me, being forced to move from place to place to place to place because I didn't have any actual help. Any actual help. And you guys want to make the excuse of, oh, well, you had this. No, you had that. When? When did I have those? When did I have what? I want you to go back and take a look at all the situations that I was in. When did I have what? When did people actually pretend to make an effort? It was not okay for me to go through that much abuse for an entire year before Natalie was killed. Well, I'm literally going to the professionals I'm supposed to go to about that stuff. Instead of helping me to turn it in, we go jumping through paperwork so they can get paid. That's all they care about. Once they get the paperwork done that gets them paid, they don't care anymore. And that's not acceptable. Now, that lady in that house, does she know that I find missing people? No, she doesn't. She doesn't know me from Adam. Does she know that I'm a survivor of the system growing up? Does she know that I'm a rape survivor? Does she know that I'm a physical and sexual abuse survivor? Not only as a child, but also as an adult. Does she know that I advocate? No, that doesn't matter to her. What she wants is some peace and quiet at her own fucking house. People live there. But does it occur to them that I don't have anywhere to live? That I don't have the resources to survive on? That I am victimized everywhere that I go? That I am blown off? No, this isn't okay. I told you how I would be treated. And I've been treated that way. And I told you that because of my genitalia and because of my looks, those were going to be people's excuses. Darn tootin' it is. And what's the reality of it? Poverty. My looks don't hurt anyone. You're offended by my looks because you're an idiot. You're offended by poverty because you're an idiot. Your credit cards are maxed out and you're out there spending more money on alcohol and victimizing homeless people because you're a real smart guy. No, you're not. You're an idiot. When it comes to the victimization in this country, we got the Me Too movement. Oh yeah, me too, me too, me too, unless it's a male victim. You want to pretend that as soon as a disabled person becomes an adult, magically they can take care of themselves. No, that is not the case. I can be victimized to the point of not being able to function. I've been in that situation for 6 years, over 6 years. And you guys repeatedly force me to go back to people who keep screwing up and not doing their jobs, outright breaking the law to help their friends and coworkers. That's not okay. There should have been a guardian to help me with these things every step of the way. Now, the people who were supposed to advocate for me made zero effort to do so. What they made an effort to do was to take your taxpayer dollars for services that were not being rendered. There's a lot of corpses over this. Natalie Bollinger was not the first or the last body over this situation. But I gotta tell you, she probably got it the easiest. She got lucky. She got a 9mm through her head. That'd be a nice way to go. Freezing to death, that's much, much nastier. That's how Benjamin Harvey went. That's also how Selena Not Afraid went. I didn't know Selena Not Afraid, but I did try helping to find her. I did, however, know Benjamin Harvey. He froze to death Christmas Day of 2017. That was only 3 days before Natalie disappeared. 3 days.
Come on, go potty. I want you to go potty.
Now, what are we going to do about this situation? We? Nothing. You guys are cowards. You guys don't care as long as it's not happening to you. You'll allow the abuse to happen. Everywhere I go, I do my best to try to keep people safe. I also do my best to inform people of the situation that I am in so that they're aware. So they're aware for their safety. And so they're aware of the safety risks for them and their families of me even existing in their area. Am I a bad person for telling people that they and their families may be harmed by others just because I exist? When I was in Hood River, I tried to explain to people the risks of me being there, and they didn't want to listen. Here I'm in the Dalles. This is where I was told to go. Everybody always tells me to go somewhere else, don't they? That's their solution, isn't it? If I go there, they want me to come here. They imply that I will be able to get help. If I come here, and do they help? No. They waste my time. They do not try to understand the urgency of the situation. I'm trying to turn in crimes, and how did that guy from the APS act? I mean, literally, the things that they're supposed to do something about, the things that are on their bulletin board, the things that are on their wall, the things that they are supposed to do, they're not doing. They outright said that that's not their job, and I read it back to them. Is that or is that not your job? I got that stuff recorded, and there's a reason for that. I'm tired of these government agencies getting away with whatever they want and those employees getting paychecks and going home and being able to feed their families. Meanwhile, people who need actual help are ignored or abused. Meanwhile, we got 5 kids a day dying in foster care. 5 per day. 5. 5 children times 365 is what? A lot? A whole lot? That's a lot of dead people. It's almost 2,000 dead kids per year. We can't be having that. But we have it anyway, don't we? Meanwhile, you don't want to listen to the most victimized people in America. That's the homeless and the disabled. You don't want to listen to them. You just want them to go away. You will turn a blind eye to police officers outright and blatantly destroying a human's life. You will outright look away from them beating a homeless man to death. You'll say, oh, he must have deserved it. He must have wanted it. If they blow the head off of your autistic son, what are you going to do? You're going to whine about it. I mean, right now you've got an opportunity to do something about the laws and to change the laws, but you're not gonna. And a year down the road, when your head, or when your son's head or your daughter's head is blown off, just because they're autistic, it's already too late for you to do anything. Now, rather than try to explain it so they understand, yes, that's right, we've got a lot of people who say, hey, they don't listen to try to understand anybody, and as a result, there's a lot of places where these folks are in a lot of trouble. They're not being held accountable, and of course, if they're able to hide everything behind closed doors, then that actually shows that a disabled person will never get an honest day in court. If I'm not going to be allowed an honest day in court or defend myself, I don't owe you squat. Those of you who want to tell me to get a job, I can't function well enough to get a job. I can't function well enough to take care of myself. And I don't have the facilities to take care of myself. Everything out here on the streets is 10 times more expensive. I've gone to the Dalles library a couple times already. Try to get help. I can't function. When you ask if somebody's okay, what do you expect out of them? What do you do if they're honest with you? You're surprised. You're always surprised when somebody's honest after you've asked that question. You expect them to say, I'm fine, I'm good, everything's okay, how are you doing? Throws them for a loop when you say, well, my life sucks and I need help stopping the abuse. Oh, you just need to man up. Well, thank you very much for your vote of confidence. That, my dear friends, is the reason that boys start committing suicide at 5 times the rate of girls at the age of 15. Girls start cutting themselves at 5 times the rate of boys at the age of 15. Why is that? Well, it's from pressure. Girls are more likely to get hurt and they know it. They're taught to know it. Boys are taught that too, but see, here's the thing. How do you teach? Do you teach by word or by example? For boys, we get the words and then we see the opposite. We hear the words and then the opposite comes out of the people giving us the words even. We're told that violence isn't the answer, and then we're told we should have beaten this person up or we should have beaten that person up. And most folks, instead of trying to find a solution, they want to sit in the past. You should have done this and you should have done that. You know, you got great ideas for somebody who wasn't there, wasn't involved, and has made zero effort to find out. Is it your family that's dead? Or are they your loved ones that are dead? Because, see, with all these web wingnuts that I got harassing me and threatening me, and of course, that being ignored, yes, I can absolutely get a new court date in every single one of my court dates as a result of the evidence that I have. But it never should have been this crappy of a situation. My public pretenders should have done their jobs. As public defenders, it is their job to actually defend me, and none of them did that. None of them tried. The fact that I am a disabled American and I have been denied the rights of a disabled American because I am intelligent, and I have been denied the rights of an intelligent American because I am disabled, really goes to show you how screwed up of a system that we have. I don't have the right to any of my rights because I'm disabled, but I don't have any right to my disability rights because I'm smart. Well, ain't there a conflict there? Yes, there absolutely is. When I was said there was a conflict of interest with both of the judges in the situations in Dual County, there absolutely was. Those judges knew that what they were doing was illegal and immoral, and just because they're currently getting away with it doesn't mean that I am not going to fight tooth and fucking nail to make sure the truth is shown. I'm tired of my friends and loved ones becoming corpses because you're lazy pieces of crap. I'm tired of them becoming corpses because they're lazy pieces of crap. If you're going to bitch to me about something, well, keep in mind that I will do something about it. If you don't like my methods, well, maybe you should try making an effort to turn it into the police, and I'll help you. In person. That's what needs to be done. People couldn't stop the miscommunication and the assumptions and throwing that crap at me long enough to hear anything. When I did speak, it's obvious that there are things that I had to say multiple times and they still didn't hear me. If you say you can't help me because of your family problems, well, then you should tell the courts that instead of making me do so. Anyway, I don't know if my voice has been entirely too loud. I do believe that these folks should be able to enjoy their place in their company because I am being quieter. However, I do have my door open and it is a double wide, so the walls are paper thin. And I do actually feel bad for anybody anywhere near me who has to hear me speaking of this stuff, because these people don't want to hear about rape and murder, that's for certain. Who does? Boys are told to man up, they just need to take it. They need to shut up about it. If they speak up about their abuse, they're not real men. Real men handle their stuff. Then we've got all of this societal BS versus what the law says. You know, according to the law, what Will Smith did to Chris Rock, especially doing it on national TV, yeah, there's automatic charges there. There should have automatically been charges there. Of course, we've got society's bias that was shown all throughout that. Oh, well, Will Smith had to protect Jada Pinkett Smith's, her what? There was no part of that woman that was in any danger whatsoever other than her maybe pride. Oh no, she's bald. The poor thing. I have no idea what that's like. You know what makes me sad? I am genuinely sad for women. I do genuinely believe in equality. And I think that it is unfair that most women cannot grow beards. I think scratching my beard is probably one of the greatest feelings in the whole world. Or pulling on it, or stroking it, or tickling it. If there was one thing I was to wish for every person on the planet, is that they could grow a beard. Maybe if everybody could grow a beard, folks would stop being so sexist. Stop making things that are not about gender. When somebody can't leave their hands to themselves, that's nobody's fault. Alright, I just realized also that there's a no parking sign here. The people at the gas station told me to park in back. But there's no parking sign here, so I'm going to relocate my vehicle again. Like I said, I like to follow the laws when at all possible. I like to not disturb people and try not to make waves. But you know what? This is an emergency situation. And part of the emergency is my vehicle overheating. So even though I was told to park out back, I wasn't sure exactly where to park out back because there's no parking signs on the back of the building. Now maybe they're talking about this area over here. I don't know if that's a parking lot or not. It doesn't say no parking or anything like that, so I would imagine I could probably pull up in there and disturb the people who live at the house a lot less. Of course, this one's in the shade, but at the same time, I mean, when it comes to matters of safety and people feeling safe in their own environment, I think that is important. Me never having a safe environment, I understand how, well, these folks, obviously, they have an environment that is safe to them, and they don't want to be made to feel that it is unsafe. And of course, if they've got paranoia or anything like that from their own personal traumas, which I don't know nothing about, I've never met the folks, but that's not something that I want to be triggering in them or creating an issue for them as far as that goes. So is it worth an extra 40 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit to allow them that peace of mind? Well, yeah. That's a worthwhile sacrifice. Now, a lot of people, they want to look at what you have in comparison with what they have. And that's what they make the decision of whether or not you're human based on. If you've got a lot more than they do, they will hate you and loathe you because you have more than they do, but ultimately they can't do anything about it. Because they're afraid, because you've got more than they do. We know that in the courts, 90% of the time, it's going to side with whoever's got the money. If you don't have any money, you must be guilty. And people see that on TV. They see it in real life. They see it in the courts. They see it at work. They see it in line at the Health and Human Services office. They see it in line at Safeway and Walmart. Now I got a question. Do people live here? Did she make a valid statement? Is that a valid statement? Absolutely it is. The context behind it is also valid. See, while you guys want to pretend that I don't get social cues, no, I really, really quite do. You guys don't get social cues. You can't understand the concept of honesty or fair play or equality. What you understand is that if you gang up on people 10-on-1, you can get away with the screwed up things that you've done. Smart. Alright, I'm going to start up the car, and although I've been in the shade, I don't expect it to be cooled down enough to actually take the gas cap off, because it was all the way up on H earlier. Which, of course, is for hot. Oh. Let's see, where'd I put my... No, that ain't it. My keys. There they are. Now, with all the sexual predators that I've attempted to turn in, that I have evidence of, that, it's impossible to get people to actually look at that. The fact that I had to go public with a lot of that stuff is about as sad as I can possibly even think of. It should have been something that I could go to the cops about. But nobody who is called mentally ill is able to go to the cops alone and be treated like a human being. It just doesn't happen. Not unless the cops happen to be personal friends of yours. But you look at the situation with Robert Franklin Warnick, the cops employed the tactic of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And the fact that the cops were my enemy by their choice really doesn't ever enter into your thinking. Anyway, there's oh shit, yep, I'm just below all the way hot, so hopefully this is actually a place I'm allowed to park. I'm gonna go take a short walk. I am overwhelmed, and that's something that we all know. Men aren't allowed to be overwhelmed. If a man is overwhelmed, then you treat him like he's weak, like he's a horrible person, like he's chump change. And y'all say, oh, well, we can't do anything about that. No, you certainly can. With people owning black folks back in the day, a lot of people said, we can't do nothing about that. Well, they certainly did do something about it, and it was something effective. It's just unfortunate that in the South, 1% of the population owning slaves. That's right, 1% of the population owns slaves. Less than 1%. So, you look at all the killing that happened there. How many people that never owned a slave in their life ended up getting shot over Southerners' rights to own human beings? We've fought hard to make it so that it's illegal to treat our black brothers and sisters that way anymore. That if something happens to them, we will speak up, we will stand behind them. But to this day, we have no such thing for disabled people. All that fear-mongering that you used to put onto black people, it's not politically correct anymore, so you put it onto the homeless and the disabled. Not just with them, but any group. All the horrible things you say about Jews, you say those things about disabled and homeless people, of course. All the horrible things that you have to say about Mexicans, Native Americans, anybody. What are all the things that you say about those different groups? Well, I'm going to tell you. All the things that you say to the homeless, things like, well, they're just out to rip you off for all your money. Oh, they just want to destroy this country. Oh, they're all just mooching off of the system. They're all freeloaders. They're the reason I'm broke. There's a lot of people I know who say they don't mind paying their taxes, so they're able to know that a disabled person or a child is not going through this. But then again, they are paying their taxes, and we're still having to go through this. Children and the disabled. And it's been years of it. For the entirety of my life, you guys have been this way. The entirety of my life. You expect me to trust you after you've done things that make you not trustworthy. This is not okay. As soon as I started trying to turn in those officers, it was no longer okay for them to come anywhere near me or approach me, or of course, take part in more threats, harassment, intimidation, or assaults. There's a place these folks showed me that's a little bit up the mountain. It's not a mountain. I mean, let me show you this place. This looks like this is like Sydney, Nebraska, or Julesburg, Colorado. I mean, this place is just dog fucking ugly. But it doesn't stay that way. Once you start getting up close, well, alright, this looks like a dump of some sort. I'm not sure. Looks like there's different piles of sediment, all of them varying degrees of grasses. But as you can see, some of this is dirt. Looks like there's a couple of rock piles. This one right here is actually a wood chip pile, and so is this one right here. It's a little mix. This is dumped cement. So yeah, this is just a little dump pit. God, this could be turned into something real beautiful. The money that I had to try to make a future for myself, to try to get myself a place where I could be safe, where I wasn't subservient, it all got taken away because of things that I didn't do and was never allowed to defend myself against. For all of these predators to claim I wasn't trying to get help, or that they were trying to help me when they committed predatory acts, no. That is not okay, and it's not okay for these officers to take part in helping them to get away with it. It's not okay for adult protective services to allow this stuff to continue, especially when I've made repeated phone calls. When they send me on to somebody else, a different person, oh, well, I've never talked to you before. I don't care who I talk to. I've called your agency in Oregon numerous times. You should have taken notes and you should have sent somebody out. Instead of ignoring the crimes against me or taking part in them. And that, at this point, is what Adult Protective Services has done. For him saying that's the first time that we met each other yesterday, or not yesterday, day before yesterday. Yeah, he's right. That is the first time that we've met. It's not the first time that we've talked, and he admitted that. It's important to be honest. It's called transparency. If there ain't no transparency, then why are we hiding crimes? That's literally what we're doing. If these people are allowed to hide their crimes, if they're allowed to, let's just say it like this, if they're allowed to take the fifth while in a government position, they need to be removed from that government position. Plain and simple. These people keep refusing to answer my questions, but they want to ask their own questions. Now, I try to answer theirs. Of course, that's because I'm a better excuse for a human being than all of you are. I'm the only person through any of this trying to do the right thing, and I mean that literally. Not one person who claimed to be my friend actually showed that they are. Not one. And them folks who took me up the hills there a little bit and showed me a spot. It's not the greatest spot in the world. Matter of fact, somebody else tried living there and they ended up leaving all their stuff there, so they probably got arrested or killed. It's pretty common. So then there came a place up there. Well, it doesn't seem like there's a interested in that tent or that campsite. What I'm interested in is having a place where I can actually tear my car apart. I got to take everything out of my car and sort through it and sort the garbage from everything else. And it's kind of a tough area to get out of, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to. I barely made it out last time, and of course I had a couple of people that I was able to follow. This ain't what a person should have to go through. It's not my fault that I was forced into subservient positions, and it's not my fault that people victimized me to the point that I couldn't take care of myself. It's not my fault that I am threatened, harassed, and intimidated by law enforcement everywhere I go because they don't give a shit about the homeless. They go out of their way to create a safety issue, and then, of course, you need a civil lawyer. You're homeless. You don't have the fucking money for a civil lawyer, and they goddamn know it. It's a fucking joke with pigs nation fucking wide. Oh, you can take care of it when you get a lawyer. No. These people committed criminal acts. They obstructed justice, disrupted government operations, and of course, all of the crimes that go along with abuse of power. Oh, garbage. I'm only slightly OCD. Anyway, waiting for my vehicle to not be overheated. And then I had to move it twice. There's a lot of no parking signs over there, and I wasn't quite sure what's in that. Anyway, it's pretty warm out here, so it's taking a little bit, but it's below halfway, which means that I should be able to, probably within the next 20 or 30 minutes, pop the cap and put some more fluid in it. But that's the thing, is that I shouldn't have to be spending all of this time and energy and throwing it all into my car. I should be in a place. Places that I was at, I wasn't able to keep because I didn't have the help that I needed. None of the people who were supposed to help me were. What they were doing is wasting my time and my precious energy. What little money that I had. And procrastinating. That's why an at-risk adult is supposed to have an advocate. It's so that these government agencies don't blow them off. It's so that when we're abused, we can turn in our abusers immediately. We can call our guardian or call our advocate and say, hey, this is what's going on, I need help. But when they want to blow you off and talk over you and tell you how to think and feel, it don't exactly work. They're not doing their jobs. Anyway, I'm going to end this video. Good to be with you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind. I'll see you when I get up the mountain later on. I'll make a video.